With the transfer portal open, Kevin Young likely thought he was done recruiting high school talent for this recruiting cycle, but an old teammate of AJ Dybantsa's is back on the open market, and BYU absolutely needs to reel him in.
You are Locked On Cougars, your daily podcast on the BYU Cougars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into Locked On Cougars, proud to be part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network. I'm Jake Hatch. Coming up on today's show, we are going to talk about Anthony Felesi. Who is he and why is he a must-get for BYU in this recruiting cycle? We'll delve into that. Then we'll catch up and talk BYU linebackers with Isaiah Glasker, a guy who figured not to be here this year, but he's back. Why exactly did that all happen? He'll explain in his own words in an exclusive one-on-one chat. And we'll finish up today's show with Delaney Gibb, shining on national television and espousing everything that BYU is all about. And we'll talk about all of it ahead on today's show. All right, so if you didn't see it yesterday, big news coming out that Orem native and former Utah Prep star Anthony Felesi has decommitted, has asked for a release, whatever you want to term it. He has backed away from his commitment to Pittsburgh. He was supposed to go and play for Jeff Capel out there for the Panthers in the ACC. And like I said, this is a young man who's a native of the state of Utah, grew up in Orem, and then ultimately played at Utah Prep Academy. And while he is a year younger than AJ Dybantsa, he is very, very close to BYU's most recent star freshman and took a number of visits to BYU. Remember, AJ had that famous visit where he was going all over in the student section from the top to the bottom of the rock. Well, guess who was right alongside him on that visit? Oh, yes, Anthony Felesi. Anthony Felesi is a must-get in my mind for the BYU men's basketball program simply because he is a four-star prospect. He is from the state of Utah. He has got incredible talent. And if he's back on the open market, BYU would do very well to add a guy like that because while he may not be a one-and-done prospect right now, he can be a program building block that you can use to build around alongside Bruce Branch, Dean Rueckert, whoever you retain off this past year's roster, and whoever you might add in this transfer portal cycle. He is that good of a prospect, I believe, in Anthony Felesi. And the one thing I talked about yesterday, for those of you who are everydayers, is I thought one of the priorities for the BYU basketball program when it came to the transfer portal was to find dogs, bulldogs on defense, people that want to go out and absolutely defend with their heart, might, mind, and soul and make it absolutely incredibly difficult for the opposing team on the perimeter to get shots off. Well, if there is one thing that Anthony Felesi has been known for throughout his prep days leading up to now entering the college ranks, he has been known as a dogged defender. He's got great size. He's listed at 6'5", shade over 200 pounds. And the fact that he's from the state of Utah, played at Utah Prep Academy, has visited BYU a number of times, is very close to AJ Dybantsa. And now that he's backed off his pledge, his signing with Pitt, this could be a major coup for BYU in this recruiting cycle. And like I said, he could be a guy that could be there for 2 or 3 years alongside a guy like Dean Rueckert, developing their skills, but also being program building blocks because they are from the state of Utah. They know what it means to represent BYU, and they know what BYU stands for. That is why I'm so intrigued by what Anthony Felesi might bring to the BYU basketball program if the Cougars can bring him in. I am under no illusions that there are going to be hundreds of programs who will throw their hat into the ring when it comes to Anthony Felesi. I absolutely expect it'll be a fierce recruiting battle to lure him in. But I am hopeful that this go-around, now that AJ Dybantsa has gone on and starred and did what he did at BYU, and a guy like Anthony Felesi probably watched it pretty closely, even though he was down in Hurricane at Utah Prep Academy, I'm sure that he knows what AJ is all about, what AJ accomplished, and I hope that AJ, his father Ace, AJ's mom Chelsea, whoever else might be involved with the Dybantsa family can reach out to Anthony and say, hey, that was an incredible experience at BYU. You need to take it for yourself and get an opportunity to go and play for Kevin Young and be developed the right way. That is, I think, a recruiting chip, an ace up the sleeve of Kevin Young's in this circumstance that he absolutely needs to utilize if at all possible. Obviously, there'll be big money offers being thrown at Anthony Felesi, but BYU, they have said it themselves. They have multiple boosters out there who have said, we will not be outbid. So if you want to put the money where your mouth is, Anthony Felesi, if it comes down to a dollars and cents thing, if he wants to play closer to home, whatever it might be, I believe BYU checks every box as to why he, speaking of Anthony Felesi, should come and play for BYU and be part of what would be, I think, a very, very strong freshman class. You put a guy like Bruce Branch, who's currently ranked inside the top 10 prospects in the 2026 cycle, Anthony Felesi, who is a top 50 prospect overall, and then obviously add Dean Rueckert, who's top 100, I believe, maybe top 150. That's the makings of a freshman class that could be the backbone of BYU's hoped for success next season and maybe going further than they did this past year with a one and done exit in the NCAA tournament. That is why I believe it's so imperative that BYU land this young man. And yeah, while his skill set, he may not be the world's best shooter, because you read all the scouting reports on him, it says that his game is still a work in progress offensively. But if he can come to BYU and at bare minimum be a 3-and-D guy where he just absolutely is a dog on defense and gets after it defensively and obviously generates turnovers, creates offense that way, that's good enough as a freshman while you continue to hone your craft in terms of shooting and obviously becoming the best player you possibly can be. He's a really, really naturally talented defender. And Adam Finkelstein from 24/7 Sports, he has an almost 7-foot wingspan. He can guard multiple positions, get rebounds. So I really look at this as a home run get for BYU, notwithstanding the fact that his shooting numbers leave something to be desired. But the nice part is, in terms of like the skill, as I said, he was only 20% from behind the arc in EYBL play, but he did make 73% of his free throws. Any of you who pay attention to metrics out there when it comes to college basketball or even in the NBA, more often than not, high level free throw shooters in time will become high level 3-point shooters. There is a corresponding skill set for whatever reason, and I'm not going to try and explain it here because I simply don't understand it at the deepest levels, but I understand if you have a pretty good free throw percentage, and now 73% is not incredible, but it's obviously a market improvement from just 20% from beyond the arc. So you would hope that that number in terms of his 3-point ability would come up in time, and that could be something that BYU staff led by Kevin Young could draw out of him. I think this is an absolute must-get for BYU, and I think that BYU would be very, very pleased to have Anthony Felesi playing in this program. And, man, get him on the phone with AJ Dybantsa, get him on the phone with Devin Booker, get him on the phone with Chris Paul. I don't care who Kevin Young has to call. Get Anthony Felesi in the same room and make the phone calls that sell him on what BYU can do for him, because he passed on BYU once before. Do not, if you're Kevin Young and company, miss out on this opportunity to add a top-tier high school prospect to this recruiting class because, like I said, building block guys like this don't come along very often, especially when they passed on BYU once before. I know that's the fear that, hey, if they pass on BYU once before, what's going to make them turn around and want to play for BYU now? Well, guess what? You do your absolute darndest to sell them on everything you try to sell them on once before. But I said the absolute, I think, trump card in all of it is one of his closest confidants. And AJ Dybantsa just enjoyed an absolutely incredible freshman campaign at BYU. And I think can speak directly to what Anthony could expect to encounter or experience as a member of the BYU men's basketball program. All right, coming up next, BYU's linebacking core is obviously deep, it's talented, and it's versatile, but its leader was not expected to be here this year. He explains why he is back, and that's Isaiah Glasker next.
I'm Clea Butler, host of Locked On Women's Basketball, and this is Mazda's Women's Basketball Snapshot, celebrating the work no highlight reel can ever capture. UCLA made history by winning its first NCAA women's basketball national championship, dominating South Carolina 79-51. The Bruins controlled the game from start to finish with elite defense and balanced scoring, finishing the season 37-1. Star center Lauren Betts was named Most Outstanding Player, leading a team effort that capped a 31-game winning streak. Under head coach Corey Close, UCLA secured a landmark title that has been decades in the making. These moments are earned off the clock, those long before the lights ever come on. The sweat, the fakes, the doubt, the scrapes. I'm coming back for more every time. Mazda puts that same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment. Putting in the work, that defines you. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you.
Thank you once again for being here on Locked On Cougars. If you're not joining the Everydayer Club, our Locked On Cougars Everydayer Club, I should say, get on it today. Get access to our members-only Discord server. Get access to buy Locked On merch. If you want one-on-one texting access, you can get that, or what we used to call our Locked On Cougars Insider Group. It's all been rolled in to our Locked On Cougars Everydayer Club. Go to lockedoncougars.supercast.com. That's lockedoncougars.supercast.com to join today, or click the link in the show notes below to get started. All right, so BYU's linebacking core is, I think, maybe one of the deepest and most talented position groups on BYU's roster. And Kelly Papinga is now, as BYU's defensive coordinator, has taken over that position group as, especially the inside linebackers, as his position group that he will be coaching up. And I think that the reason why he has talked about maybe going multiple on defense, whether it's a 3-4, 3-3-5, 4-3, 4-2-5, the versatility of BYU's linebackers allow them to do just that. And it's headlined by Isaiah Glasker. Now, I'll be very blunt. At the outset of last season, Isaiah Glasker, well, he was expected not to be here this time this year. There was every expectation / indication that he and Jack Kelly were going to go out together and ultimately enter the NFL draft and hopefully find themselves playing on Sundays this fall. Well, Jack Kelly is living that dream while Isaiah Glasker is still in Provo, Utah. Why did that all occur? And ultimately, why is he back in Provo, Utah? Well, here's an exclusive one-on-one chat where we started off talking about that very topic. Here's Isaiah Glasker.
I was battling injuries and my shoulder, I wasn't really feeling right after the season. I feel like the best thing for me was just to come back and get my shoulder repaired and then just play another year. So,
what are you hoping to show? What else is there still for Isaiah Glasker to show on the football field?
Hopefully just helping the boys get to that Big 12 championship and then hopefully a national championship. So that's what it is.
Pretty simple.
Yeah.
I can respect that. Obviously, you and the trio of UCLA and obviously Jack last year were pretty a fearsome trio, I thought, across the board. Now you bring a guy like Kedu Luave in to kind of step in. He's not necessarily like for like with Jack, but what do you feel about this linebacker position and if it can be a strength once again?
I would just say, really looking into it, anyone could make a play in the linebacker room. It's like you got Ace Kafusi, Miles Hall, all these different guys, and it's like at any given moment you put them in the game, they're going to make plays too. So it's like I'm just excited just how deep our linebacker room is. So
how nice is it to have your position coach be your defensive coordinator now?
It's nice, actually, especially being a former linebacker too. It's just like he's allowing us to just make plays and just flow. So.
What's Kelly like? Because I know him I covered him as a player, and I know him as a coach, but what's he like actually in the room?
I would say he's more of like a player's coach, but he can get after it, definitely, if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. But I know he's a smart coach, and I feel like I can learn a lot from him, and I'm excited to see how this goes these next couple months. I know he's going to do a great job. So.
You were on the sidelines during spring, kind of taking on a coaching role. What was that experience like?
Really, I was just taking this time to kind of recover and then to just build this relationship with these incoming guys, with the freshmen. You get the transfers like Kedu Luave, and I know, really just to learn. I feel like you can learn a lot of things just watching from the outside, and I feel like I'm grateful for it, honestly. So.
Kelly said that Cade was clocked at 22 miles an hour, maybe the second fastest guy on the team. You're pretty fast in your own right. You think you can keep up with him?
Shoot. 22 miles?
22 miles. This is coming from Kelly.
Yeah, I might have to see that one.
Okay, fair enough. Well, that actually translates. I interviewed your cousin last year. It was at Lehigh High School, and he was, I guess the best way to describe it is he was effusive in his praise for you as a mentor of his. What's it like having legend here now?
Honestly, it's just the opportunity to be able to watch him all the way since Little League, and it's like we would have our Little League games and we just go watch them, and then being able to spend time with him all the time, and I feel like he's more like a brother than a cousin to me.
Yeah.
And I feel like even watching him at Lehigh, it's like he's earned everything that he's got now. So I'm really excited to see what he can do this fall. I think he's going to play a lot.
How good can he be in your mind?
Shoot, just watching this spring ball right here, he's been destroying. So I'm excited to see what he can do.
Are you hoping to, I don't know necessarily what happened, but go one-on-one with him at some point during practice and be like, hey, here's what it really is going to go like?
So being out right now, he's been talking a lot. That's why I keep telling him, hey, just wait till you come across that middle. I'm going to get you all these times. Yeah. But no, I'm really excited to see what he can do, honestly.
Last thing from me, I guess two things. You're finishing up your career at BYU. What kind of legacy do you want to leave?
Hopefully just one of the best linebackers ever played here. That's really the plan. And just like, I don't know, just like the rest of these guys, hopefully we get the first Big 12 championship in BYU history.
Yeah.
So, and then just hopefully we can get to the playoffs and win this national championship.
And then the last thing from that's everybody else I've interviewed. Why do you wear the number that you wear?
Really just because that's the number that they gave me from the beginning. It's like I feel like I didn't change my number just because I feel like I made a name for myself, honestly, and why change it and I would also say just all these great players before me that wore 16. So
a big thank you to Isaiah Glasker and a big thank you to BYU Athletic Communications for arranging that interview. And you heard him talk about the fact that he's excited to hopefully enjoy a healthy senior season. He got an ankle injury, and I watched it with my own eyes against Colorado, and that really hampered him. He talked about his shoulder, having to have surgery on that. So the hope is that this year, Isaiah Glasker has a healthy senior campaign. And then after seeing what I think Jack Kelly is expected to do upcoming in the NFL draft, well, I think Zay has every aspiration of both matching, if not surpassing that in next year's NFL draft. But BYU is the beneficiary with him back for another season, and he will ultimately be, I think, the senior leader that this group needs. Now, guys like Siale Acera, Kedu Luave, they obviously will have their say as well. Miles Hall, Ace Kafusi, Jake Clifton. There is a lot of depth at the linebacker position for BYU. And I just listed 6 guys. I could probably go 10 or 11 or 12 guys deep on this linebacking core. And the nice part is all of them have talent. All of them have capability. And the hope is that versatility, that depth, and the overall just strength of the linebacker unit makes this BYU defense formidable once again this coming fall. I think Kelly Poppinga is very eager to go out and obviously mix things up with the way that this defense operates. Now, he's not going to completely wholesale change the identity of BYU's defense because it's been implemented by Jay Hill under Kalani Sitake's direction. Gary Anderson is still around to be that puppet master behind the scenes that really help Kelly Poppinga get settled as a play caller and ultimately understand what he's looking at and maybe what he wants to call in an individual circumstance. All of that is going to, I think, yield what should be a stingy BYU defense. And the hope is that, with a healthy Isaiah Glasker and the other guys in this linebacking core, that they make BYU's defense more formidable than it was a season ago. And it was pretty darn good a year ago under Jay Hill's direction. But a guy like Isaiah Glasker, man, he could really transform things for this BYU defense, and I'm very eager to see what he does, like I said, teaming up with a Siale Acera, a Kedu Luave, or Jake Clifton, or whoever else might emerge in that linebacking room, and to have him around for another year. It's a major boon to BYU's prospects and their hopes for this coming season. So we'll see how it all goes, but I really do think BYU's linebacking core is going to be one of, if not the chief strength of this defense. And it's not weak by any means in the secondary. I think up front on the defensive line, there's a lot of promise up there as well. But this linebacking core could be really, really special, even without Jack Kelly in the unit. All right, we'll finish up today's show coming up next. It was interesting to see Fox and Friends. Now, I don't proclaim to know what exactly when it aired or what it ultimately entailed, but it was awesome to see Delaney Gibb get an opportunity to appear on national television and lay out and espouse exactly what BYU, its athletes, and ultimately what the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints stands for. Today's show brought to you by Robinhood. Now, what if sports, it was on the wrong page. What if sports were traded like markets? Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. It's not you against the house. It's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long using your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood prediction markets changes the game. It's people moving the actions. When momentum shifts, you can move with it. I always knew the game, but never had a dynamic way to apply that knowledge. Now I can actually take take part live in a market powered by people. You're no longer just a spectator. Play by play, you decide. Trade every play with Robinhood, now available across the U.S. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. Futures and cleared swaps trading involves significant risk, is not appropriate for everyone. Event contracts are offered by Robinhood Derivatives LLC, a registered futures commission merchant and swap firm. Today's show is also brought to you by Indeed. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. They help you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for: skills, experience, location, whatever you're looking for. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. You can go out there and find them. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours will make 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all of your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Speaking of Locked On Cougars, Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. Thank you for making Locked On Cougars your first listen of the day. Appreciate all of you for being with us. If you have not subscribed, rated, reviewed, shared the show with your family and friends, or any or all of the above, please do so. If you're watching this on YouTube right now, I'm just going to point right down here. There's a little thumbs up icon right there. Click it. It helps the algorithm obviously let other Cougar fans know about what we're doing here, because we are your original daily podcast focused on all things BYU. Very proud to be part of the Locked On podcast, where the motto is your team every day. All right, if you missed it, Delaney Gibb appeared on Fox and Friends on the Fox News Network, and I don't know when this aired, so I apologize. I probably should know that off the top of my head, but I do not know when it aired. But the one thing I came away from in seeing the highlights and obviously reading up on this is I love the fact that Delaney Gibb got a platform to go out and build on what was a viral moment a couple of weeks before when they were in the WBIT semifinals. They appeared at a press conference and were talking about why they don't practice on Sunday. And she explained exactly what it's all about. And she felt like it was a strength for the BYU women's basketball program, where they didn't practice or do anything team-wise on Sunday. And it helped them, she thought, in her opinion, be a better team overall. And she said this, quote, "It's super cool to be able to play for a university like BYU because I'm able to represent, something greater than myself, my Savior Jesus Christ, and being able to take Sundays off and use it as a day of worship and a day of just to recenter and refocus my life on Christ is super special," unquote. That's what I think is absolutely awesome about this. She got a chance to take a platform that doesn't get offered to BYU athletes very often. And frankly, a lot of times when stuff like this pops up, let's be very clear. BYU athletes can be a bit of a punchline, or BYU in general, or the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints by extension. The nice part was this was an earnest opportunity for her to get up there and speak to, I don't know how many people watch this or what the ratings were on it, but I would imagine it's in the thousands, if not the millions, that got an opportunity to see her essentially bear witness of what she likes about playing at BYU and why it's so important to her in her life. And I know that there are some of you out there within the sound of my voice who are not members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. You're former members, you've never been a member, but you're a fan of BYU. And I think that even though this is her essentially bearing a testimony, which is the term we use in the church in terms of bearing witness or kind of preaching what we consider to be the truth, I think we can all understand that BYU, whether you're a member or not, it is a cool thing to see BYU standing for more than just being, in this case, a women's basketball program that's trying to compete at the highest levels. Delaney Gibb knows what this is all about, and she is a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, as I understand it. And I thought it was cool that she took a viral moment and Fox picked up on it and brought her on national television to allow her to kind of explain a little bit more about what they're all about. And she also added this: I think when you step back and look at it from a perspective of our team and the culture we've built and the faith we have, it's a day we have to get different perspective on life. And there's things that are bigger than basketball. And Jesus Christ and having faith in him is something that's bigger than basketball. That was during the WBIT press conference. She said that, but I think that this is a really, really awesome opportunity for her to just kind of further the message of what BYU athletics is all about. Yes, it means more. And guys like Lee Cummard, the BYU women's basketball coach, he knows that. He played for Dave Rose in the BYU men's basketball program, and he served a mission. And Kalani Sitake has been very clear that if you're going to come to BYU and your whole focus is on money, or if it's just on playing time, he doesn't want you in his program. And that may sound harsh, but it's a program. And speaking of a university at BYU, it stands for more than just the sports in the BYU athletic department. It is a university. It's the flagship university of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, a worldwide faith that's nearing 18 million members worldwide. And whether you are a member of the faith who's a fan of BYU or otherwise, I think we can all understand that this is really cool to see what Delaney Gibb got an opportunity to do. And I'm hopeful that it made some inroads with people who might not otherwise ever interact with BYU, BYU sports, or the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and understand just a little bit more of what BYU is about. And like I said, it stands for more than just playing basketball at a high level. It stands for representing a faith, and I respect that. I love the fact that Fox gave this platform to Delaney and obviously by extension BYU. So we'll see how it all goes. And she also was very clear that talking about Lee Cummard, that he supports all of his players' religious beliefs, that not all the members of the BYU women's basketball program, the vast majority of the BYU men's basketball program are not members of the faith. I know that BYU football, I think it's a slight majority right now, are members of the faith. But she talked about Lee Cummard, saying he's just such a genuine person. He's someone that really supports all of our beliefs and all the different faiths we have on our team. That's what I love about BYU's coaches. And that extends, like I said, to Kalani Sitake, over to Kevin Young, Diljit Taylor, who is, I think she's a member of the Sikh faith, if I recall correctly. And she's a head coach and doing some incredible things on the cross country and women's track side of things at iStone. Like, you can go down the list, Jennifer Rockwood, of these BYU coaches. And I think to a man or woman in that circumstance, they know what BYU stands for. And they, I think, get it across to their athletes that you're representing a whole lot more than just yourself when you wear the letters BYU on the uniform or whatever athletic apparel you wear. It stands for a whole lot more than that. And I can respect it. And I love the fact that Delaney Gibb got an opportunity to share that with the rest of the world. All right, that is going to do it for today's edition of the show. Hope you guys are all doing fantastic out there in Cougar Nation, wherever you are, because I know a number of you are listening all over the world. I got an email actually earlier this week from a listener in Ireland. So that was cool. And if you want to reach out anytime, feel free to reach out. LockedOnBYU at gmail.com is our email address. But as always, follow the show on social media, Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Search out Locked On Cougars. If you want my socials, my individual socials, Jacob C. Hatch on Instagram or X. And as always, come back and be a part of this every single day, because this is what I love doing. I love talking about BYU sports, and that's what we do here literally every single day. And by the way, if you want to be a bigger member of the community, join the Everydayer Club, LockedOnCougars.supercast.com. And now if you're watching on video, we're going to send you over to the 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel for more great Locked On content there. Or if you're listening on audio, go make your second listen, Locked On College Basketball, get a recap of March Madness now that it's finished and we're entering the transfer portal season. Get up to speed on everything that Isaac Shade and Andy Patton have got for you guys when it comes to Locked On College Basketball. But as always, come back tomorrow and to be an everydayer with us right here on the Locked On Cougars podcast.